Okay, go ahead, take a look at your bathroom counter right now. I'm willing to bet that almost everything you see, your shampoo, your face cream, your makeup, it all comes from just a handful of companies. It's kind of wild when you think about it. We're talking about a global industry worth over $500 billion, but it's dominated by a few giants who've been shaping our daily routines for more than a century.
So that's the big question, right? How on earth did this happen? How did a chemist mixing hair dye in his tiny apartment, or a book salesman who realized his perfume samples were a bigger hit than his books, how did they lay the groundwork for these colossal global empires? Well, it's an incredible story of vision, fierce competition, and some absolutely game-changing strategy.
So let's do this. Let's trace the history of these titans. We're not just going to look at who they are. No, we're going to decode the fundamental playbooks they wrote. And then we'll see how those very same playbooks are being torn up and completely rewritten for the future.
You see, the modern beauty industry wasn't built on just one idea. It was built on four really different and often competing business models. Each one of these companies was born with its own unique DNA, and that DNA would define its entire path to victory.
It all kicks off more than a century ago. And look how different these starting points are. You've got a partnership between a candle maker and a soap maker in Cincinnati, an accidental discovery by a book salesman, a massive scientific breakthrough in a Paris kitchen, and then an act of pure, incredible ambition on Fifth Avenue. These right here, these are the four cornerstones of modern beauty.
So, right from the jump, two totally different ways of thinking pop up. First, you've got Procter & Gamble, who literally invented the concept of brand management. They created a system where one manager's entire job was to live, breathe, and sleep a single product. It was a revolutionary idea, so effective that it became the playbook for the entire consumer goods industry. And at the exact same time, you've got Avon creating something radically different, the world's first social selling network. They empowered millions of women to become entrepreneurs, selling directly to their friends and family. Sound familiar? It was the original social commerce.
L'Oreal's approach, it was completely different. It wasn't about ads or social networks, it was all about the lab. Because its founder was a chemist, the company's entire empire is built on one core belief: the best formula wins. Their competitive advantage was, and you know what? It still is, chemistry. And then there was Estée Lauder. She understood something really profound about what people want. She knew you weren't just buying a face cream, you were buying a promise, you were buying an identity. She basically created the luxury beauty counter experience as we know it, building an entire empire on aspiration itself. So, you have these four distinct philosophies. How did they grow into the global empires we see today? Well, they didn't just stay in their lanes. They started to scale, swallowing up smaller brands and consolidating power through massive strategic acquisitions.
This was the era of owning the aisle. Seriously, these companies weren't just happy selling one product anymore. They wanted to dominate entire categories. P&G's $57 billion deal for Gillette wasn't just about razors. It was about owning the entire men's grooming routine, from the shaving cream to the aftershave.
Now this is really smart. L'Oreal did something absolutely brilliant here. They didn't just buy a makeup brand. For almost $760 million, they bought a distribution network. They bought immediate, overnight access to the American mass market through 30,000 drugstores, a footprint that probably would have taken them decades to build on their own. Just brilliant.
And this table perfectly illustrates their master plan. They built a portfolio that covers every single corner of the market. It doesn't matter if you're shopping in a drugstore, a fancy department store, a hair salon, or even a pharmacy. L'Oreal has a brand right there waiting for you. It's like a fortress with no gaps. For decades, this whole model seemed completely unbeatable. But then, the internet showed up, and with it came a new generation of consumers who just didn't play by the old rules. And slowly, the entire foundation of the industry started to crack. Think about it. The old way of selling beauty, where products were locked away behind glass cases, guarded by brand loyalists, it was completely shattered by retailers like Sephora. Their concept was a total game changer, an open playground where you could touch, try, and play with anything you wanted. That simple shift put all the power back into the consumer's hands. And the fallout for the old guard? It was brutal. Estée Lauder, the undisputed queen of prestige beauty, saw its value plummet by nearly 90%. This was one of the most staggering destructions of value in modern consumer history. It was a painful, painful lesson that what made you successful yesterday can absolutely make you vulnerable tomorrow.
But hey, while some companies were struggling, others adapted. L'Oreal made a truly visionary move. They bought a little-known dermatologist brand called CeraVe. Why? Because they saw the rise of the online skintellectual. People doing deep dives on ingredients on Reddit and TikTok. They rode that wave perfectly and turned CeraVe into the #1 skincare brand on the entire planet.
So where does all this leave us today? Well, the battle for the future of beauty is being fought on completely new ground. It's not just about who has the best cream or the catchiest ad anymore. Now it's all about data, technology, and a whole new set of values.
Yeah, the playbook for the next decade is being written right now as we speak. And it really revolves around 3 key things: using AI for hyper-personalization, mastering the art of selling through social networks, and proving, not just saying, but proving that your commitment to sustainability is real and verifiable.
And right now, one company has a truly staggering lead. L'Oreal's sales are almost double its closest competitor. It's not even close. They have pulled away from the rest of the pack in a really dramatic way. The question is, how?
And here's a huge part of the answer. 1.3 billion euros every single year. That's what they spend on R&D. They are out investing, out researching, and out innovating everyone else on a scale that is just hard to wrap your head around.
So what does all that money get you? This. L'Oreal has fundamentally redefined itself. They bought an augmented reality company so you can try on lipstick using your phone's camera. They were the first beauty company ever to give the keynote speech at CES, the world's biggest tech conference. And now they're partnering with giants like IBM, NVIDIA, and Google Cloud. They're sending a very clear message. We are not a cosmetics company anymore. We are a technology company that just happens to sell beauty.
But there is another compelling vision for the future. You've got Brazil's Natura, which actually now owns Avon in Latin America. They built their entire empire on a different idea, that real, verifiable sustainability isn't just a cost of doing business, it's a competitive advantage. Their business model actively protects millions of hectares of the Amazon rainforest, proving you can build a massively profitable company that is also a powerful force for good.
And this leaves us with one final, fascinating thought to chew on. As these companies go from just covering up wrinkles to using AI and longevity science to target the actual biological mechanisms of aging itself, the line gets really blurry. At what point do they stop being beauty companies and start becoming something else entirely? Maybe biotech firms with the power to alter our very biology? Now that is the real battle for tomorrow.